Hey guys, this is Tong, and today I want to do a video showing you guys a little bit of how I play my guitar. It's kind of a guitar lesson, I guess. I haven't really done these kind of videos much, but I want to just show you guys what I think about when I do a guitar solo or something. So whenever you watch some of my other YouTube videos, whenever I'm doing a jam out, whenever I'm jamming to a song, doing a solo, whatever, a blues solo or blues jam, none of that is memorized. That's all coming spontaneously, and yeah, basically all that is improvisation. And I'm gonna show you guys a little bit about how I do that improvisation. And this is not going to be like a professional lesson video. I'm not a professional guitar teacher, and actually I don't know how to read music very well. I don't know how to read sheet music very well. I'm not very formally trained. I just play whatever sounds good, and I'm basically self-taught. I watched a lot of videos growing up of guitarists like Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, David Gilmour, those guitarists, Steve Ray Vaughan. Right? I watched a lot of those videos growing up, and I learned from that. And that's basically how I learned. And I just play whatever sounded good to me, and I memorized some of those licks, I guess. And let me show you guys a little bit of those licks, and maybe you might find it useful, maybe not. But yeah, let's let me show you guys some of my tips and tricks, I guess. Alright, so this is my Fender Stratocaster going to my Milkman tube amp right now. And first of all is, yeah, I'm going to show you guys mainly how I do these blues solos. I started out with rock and blues mostly. I'm still learning like jazz right now, but jazz is very difficult because there's so many scales you have to know for jazz. For blues, it's mostly just one scale, the minor pentatonic scale. That's really the only scale you have to know, so it's not very hard to learn. It's actually the very first thing I learned when I started playing guitar, which was like 12 years ago. I started playing guitar in 2005, I think. Then I started doing like guitar shows and stuff, and never really joined many bands, but just play a lot in my free time. So I've been playing guitar for, yeah, like 12 years. So I'm going to show you guys what I learned during that time. Okay, so the blues minor pentatonic is pretty easy to figure out. I'm going to assume you guys know a little bit about how to play guitar. This is one of the key scales of the guitar right here, so I'm not going to like go over like too many of the technical terms and stuff, because I don't really use it. I don't really care what notes I'm playing, actually. All I care about is the position on the fretboard, actually. So I'm going to go by frets. So everything here can be considered, everything here, it depends on the key of the song you're playing. So if you're playing a song in the key of E, or the key of G, A, whatever, you don't really need to know those names. All I need to know is that this E is open, G is the 3rd fret, and by the frets I mean the bottom string here, the bottom E string, lower E string. G is going to be the 3rd fret, A is going to be the 5th fret, C is going to be this, yeah, A sharp B, sorry, B. C is going to be the 8th fret. That's all you need to know is the relative position of the frets. You don't really need to know the names of the notes that you're playing, because I'm not very technical. And honestly, I don't think that the professionals like Hendrix or Page, they never really knew what notes they were playing anyways. They just played whatever sounded good to them. So I'm kind of like that too. So yeah, I'm going to start off with the 3rd fret basically, which is G. And this scale, this minor pentatonic scale, can be anywhere on the fretboard. Just give me an example of one starting on the 3rd fret. So usually from the 3rd fret, you're going to count up 3 frets up, which is going to be 3 notes up, and this is going to be the next key on the scale. And then from the 2nd string, which is the A string, count up 2 spots on the fret, and then from the 3rd, I think it actually counts down this way, sorry guys, yeah, from the A string, count 2 frets up, that's going to be the next note on the scale, and then you're going to go up to D string, 2 notes up on the scale is going to be the next note, and then this is going to be the G string, and then 2 notes up from the G string, not the G string, 2 notes up from this note here is going to be the next note, 2 frets up, and then the B string and 3 notes up from this, and then the high E string and then 3 notes up from that. That's going to be the scale from whatever you start off with. So I'm just going to consider this fret my root fret, and then whatever note comes after is like relative to that, right? So this is like my root fret, which is my G, the 3rd fret right now. Then 3 notes up, next string, 2 notes up, next string, 2 notes up, next string, 2 notes up, next string, 3 notes up, next string, 3 notes up. And that's going to be the blues minor pentatonic scale. And that's the most common scale used with blues soloing. Right? Like that. And that can be done anywhere on the fretboard. This is just an example. From 3rd fret, if I can do 5th fret as well, which is A. It works, right? C. So and basically anywhere from the fretboard you can do it. The open note right now is E, right? So you can do it from E as well. It's going to be like this. From E. Right. So anyways, my point is you can do it from anywhere, and that's mainly what you use when you solo is the scale right here. So when you solo, you can add more and more notes that connect to the scale. I'll give you some examples. Okay, so the root note, if you go 2 notes back down from the root note on the low E string, that's part of the scale as well. And the A string, if you go 2 notes back from the root note of the A string, that's part of the scale as well. Then the B string, if you go 2 notes back, that's part of the scale. On the high E string, if you go 2 notes back, that's that's part of the scale as well. So hope you guys got that. That's 2 notes back from the E string, from the A string, from the B string, and the high E string. Those are all part of the scale. So if you include that now, let's go like, I can start from here. See how I'm using only the notes that I showed you guys, right? And that's almost just what you use when you solo. Okay, so I told you guys from the high E string, you can go up here 3 notes up, right? You can go an additional 2 frets up, and that's also part of the scale. And for the B string also, 3 notes up, 3 frets up, you can go an additional 2 frets up as well, and that also works. And then if you go for this one, the G string, right? Remember how I said you go 2 frets up from here? Well, you can go an additional 2 frets up as well, and those are all part of the scale. So that's basically the scale. The licks and stuff that I use is everything on the fretboard. Everything that's part of this scale, that's what I use. So if you use that, using what we just learned, right? So all those notes are just using the notes I just showed you guys, and you can solo with that basically. If you want to go further beyond, basically beyond that, those are the basics of what I use. Just combining those notes together. And that's most of what the solo is. When I solo, I just combining those notes together. If you want to go beyond that, every other part of the fretboard is an extension of that scale. So everything is going to be either 2 frets or 3 frets, or 2 notes or 3 notes, relative to what you just played. So this one, right? The next note, and this is kind of, you have to experiment for yourself which part of the fretboard, what sounds good or not, if it's going to be 2 or 3. Usually it's always going to be 2 or 3, because if you go 1 note up, then it sounds a little bit off, doesn't it? Right? Almost never, it's never going to be just 1 fret above. It's going to be either 2, in this case it's not 2, it's 3. Right, so 3 sounds good. So in this case, the next note in this scale is 3 frets above from the one you just played. And then the next note from this one is going to be 2 frets above, and then another 2, and another 2. Right? So it's usually like that. It's either usually 2 notes or 3 notes above what you just played. basically what I do. I just see what is the key of the jam I'm playing in. Is it A? Is it E? Then find the spot on the fretboard, and then everything's relative to that spot, right? So if it's the A, then it's this spot. It's the 5th fret, and then the scale is going to be based on the 5th fret. So everything's going to be relative to that, and that's basically it. You just find your way around the fretboard and see what notes sound good. Okay, so next I'm going to show you guys some licks that I use. This is going to be very subjective because I use different licks all the time. But here's like an example. I use this one a lot when I just slide down, and then the one that's not on the same fret, but the next higher up string, but the fret before it, and I hit those two at the same time. I slide up. I do that lick a lot. This is all licks I've learned from like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, etc. So I've used them a lot. So I slide up and I hit the string above the next string, but with the fret before this one that I just hit. And you can do a hammer on with the next note above that too. Lick that I do a lot, and I also do this one a lot. Going back to this, or here, right here. This is still part of the scale. Just playing around with bends and stuff. You know, bends are just a way to hit the next note, but adds a little bit of emotion to it. Like this one, just bend to next note, and then go back to the note before it on the scale, then go down a string, and then go back up to that note. You can do it anywhere here. I use it a lot. And this is another bluesy thing that I've learned as well is okay, so I'm not sure if this works on all the frets actually. Maybe it only works on some of them. Yeah. Yeah, anyways, you hit the note on the B string, and then the higher up string, which is the high E string, you hit the note that's 2 frets down from it, and then like this. And then you hit this note again, back to the original note. See that? This doesn't sound as good on the lower frets. I think it sounds better on the higher frets, but that lick is used a lot. Where you go 2 frets higher on the higher string, on the high E string, then go back down to the B string with the original note. And another one I do is, okay, you know how I said that usually on the scale, you have a note on the scale, and then on the string beneath it, the lower string, you usually these two notes around it pair well with it. So usually I put them together in a triad. Doesn't always sound the best. You have to look at which note. Yeah, you have to hit the right note on the scale, of course. So start with the note on the scale, then the string below it, which I usually use the G string here, and basically the two spots here that, if this was your note, these are the two spots around that note. So hit all three of them, but hammer on this one right here. So like, and then pull off. Hammer on, pull off, right? That's how I usually do this one. Look for this note, see the two notes around it, and then just hammer on this last one. This one right here. I do this one a lot. Yeah. Sorry if I'm not very good at explaining these things. It's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, I'm not a teacher, but yeah, I'm trying to explain my best how I'm doing these things to you. So that's the one I use a lot as well, which is this triad thing right here. Basically, all I say is just play around with the notes, and most of it's just spontaneous of what I think is good at the time. Yeah, and then I use the whammy bar, aka the vibrato bar. Sometimes if I want to add some emphasis, especially since this is a Stratocaster and this guitar comes with a whammy. If I want to add some little ambiance to the note, I can use it. Usually two chords and stuff. Using it on single notes is kind of weird. You would probably use it on a chord. Yep, so you probably use it on chords and stuff. I use on a Stratocaster, I use the neck and middle position the most. I find this is the position that has the most mellow sound. I use the neck position, again, a more mellower but louder kind of sound. Yeah, the neck pickup usually has a more mellow, but a more mellow sound. The volume is kind of louder. The neck in the middle has lower volume, still has a very mellow sound. And this is the one I use the most. The middle position I usually don't use in a Stratocaster. It just doesn't sound very good, personally. Like, it doesn't really have much personality to it, so I don't really use the middle that much. The bridge and the middle I use sometimes. And this is a position where a lot of people would call the quack position because it has a lot of what people call quack to it. Almost like how a duck cracks. Yeah, it's like a quacky sound. The bridge position has a lot of volume and is a twangy position. So if you want your volume to be louder, if you want your notes to be have a little bit more treble to them, then use the bridge position. This one has a lot of treble. On pretty much every electric guitar, the bridge is going to be very trebly. It's going to be very bright, and the neck position is going to be very mellow. So that's usually on every electric guitar. This is the case because of the position of the pickups. Right. Neck position, a lot of volume, very mellow. matter if you have humbuckers or single coils, it will be the case. Bridge pickup is going to be the bright and trebly kind of sound. Now most bridges are hotter than the neck on electric guitars, so you're going to have a lot of volume on the bridge as well. The neck generally has a lot of volume anyways because it's closer to the string vibrations, so it gets more volume out of that. Yeah, I don't really touch the tone controls. Those are always at 10. Okay, so the volume controls. Sometimes I use the volume controls to get a violin type of tone out of the strings. What do I mean by that? This is what is called volume swells. If you play a note like this, full volume, right? You can hear that it just sustains and then dies off. It fades like that. What if you just want it to make it sound like a violin and kind of have it fade in like this? So I use that effect to get a more violin type of fading tone here. Now this is easier to do with the Strat because the volume is very close to the strings here. You get a very interesting type of tone with this by using this volume swell to just keep moving the volume knob, you know, to get it swelling. Or I just move the volume knob from like around like 3 up to 10 to get this kind of swell kind of tone. Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool tone. Sounds like a violin a lot. So I use this sometimes if I want to be like, if I want to add some more experimentation to my solos. Okay, and keep repeating the same note if you want to add some emphasis. So if you're like in the middle of a solo and you know you want to add some special emphasis to this note, you know you're in the middle of a solo and stuff. Let's say you want to add some extra emphasis to this part of the solo. Yeah, I would kick my pickup select to the bridge position so it adds more treble to it, and then I would just bend like the note that you're playing. And then keep repeating the same note, you know, just like this. Doing the bend. And that adds a lot of emphasis. So that's another one of my tips that I use. If I want to add some more emotion to a note, I just bend it longer, bend it harder, keep hitting it, right? Keep hitting it. Okay, so that's what I usually do when I'm bending. I finger pick when I want to be more mellow. So I would not finger pick if this was like a really high-paced, high-tempo part of the solo, but I would finger pick if this was like a more mellow, slower tempo version of the solo, right? The slower part of the solo. And that's because finger picking has a very different sound than using the pick. Finger picking makes it sound a lot more softer and mellower. See, like if I use a pick, right, it's very staccato. Now if I use my fingers, notice how the sound is a little bit softer. So it's a different feel, gives a different tone as well. And yeah, hammer-ons and pull-offs, I use them sometimes, not very frequently, but if I want to add a little bit of speed to my solo, I would do a hammer-on or pull-off. And sliding is a pretty this is a pretty popular technique I use a lot, maybe more than the hammer-ons and pull-offs. The reason is because if you do a hammer-on and pull-off, it's very, very staccato, right? Staccato as in it's very, very sudden. If I use a slide like this, it's more smoother. It's more legato, right? So this is the hammer-on pull-off. Right? If I use the slide, it's more smoother, it's more legato and slower. So I usually use slides. I prefer doing slides instead because I like more mellow tones. So if I'm in a slower section of the solo and I want to be mellow and stuff, I would use slides a lot. And if I want to be faster and faster tempo, then use the hammer-ons and pull-offs. One other thing is if you're hitting the adjacent notes, some adjacent notes if you hit, like for example on the G string right here, in the middle of the scale, right? This is part of the scale, and if I go one note beyond, sometimes it adds like a little bit something interesting, right? I can't really explain it well, but see the difference between this and this. See that one, if you go like this, it adds something a little bit more interesting. So sometimes I do that, but it doesn't always work. It really depends on the position of the notes that which note you're hitting. But this is kind of like a more jazzy thing, I feel. See, now that one's like more jazzy. Because this note is technically not on the scale, so I added something a little bit more jazzy to it, like it. So this is another blues lick that sometimes people do is they go this, you skip a string, so say I'm on G, you skip a string. I think this has to be done on G, by the way. Well, maybe not have to. Okay, anyways, I usually do this on G. And skip the B string, mute it, and then you have the high E string right here, right? So whatever note you are on the G string, go to the high E string, and you see the same note on the same fret, but go one fret below. And this is what people do sometimes during a blues ending. They do this. Very bluesy kind of flavor, this lick. Yeah, whatever note you're on, the high E string, skip the B string in the middle, hit the high E string, and then go down one fret, and just keep going down. And this is how some people end like blues solos. They end the blues solo like that. So that's pretty interesting blues ending. You can also do this for chords as well. Having the chords go one fret, one fret, one fret down. Kind of like a blues ending. Yeah, anyways, yeah, those are a lot of my tips and tricks when playing a blues solo. I hope you guys learned a lot from that. I don't really know what else I can say. But yeah, just combine all the notes together on different parts of the fretboard. Use those licks in combination with each other. around, you know, see what sounds good. Yeah, some vibrato. By the way, when you're sliding and stuff, starting a new part of the solo, better to start from the slide from the 0th fret. See, you'll see a lot of guitarists do this. See, you can see the difference here. Like if I do this, and see the difference there? You add a little bit of extra character when you do that. That's why a lot of guitarists, they do this. They go back down to 0 and they slide up from 0 again. So if I just do this without sliding, there's not much character to it. Or if I do this, right? And or if you do like with the slide. Yeah, like this compared this with no sliding, or this. See how that one adds a little bit more character. Yeah, I think you can get what I'm talking about there. Yeah, I think mostly that's about it. Just play around with the fretboard, and that's how it happens. Stuff there. Alright. One other thing is, like, when I was young and I first learned how to play guitar, I really admired Jimi Hendrix a lot. And he used to play his guitar, you know, like a showman. He used to play with his teeth. He used to play behind his back. And I thought that was really cool. And I did that before, not much anymore. I used to play with my teeth and behind my back a lot. Obviously, it's not very sanitary, but yeah, I used to play behind my back and with my teeth a lot, just for showmanship, I guess. Not sure if you guys are interested, but if you are interested in doing that, it's actually not that difficult. If you want to play the guitar with your teeth, then make sure that first of all you don't have a lot of saliva in your mouth. Otherwise, you're gonna get saliva on your pickups and stuff, which is very bad. Another thing is figure out what part of the solo you want to play, and use the bottom teeth. Don't use the upper part of your teeth. The upper row, it's very difficult. Use the bottom row of your teeth. And if you want to, you know, show off, then like say you want to play like this part of the scale and stuff, this part of the solo, then you could just like do this and then use the bottom part of your teeth. Obviously, you can't play very fast when you play with your teeth, but if you do want to show off, you can do that. Make sure you don't have any much saliva in your mouth, and make sure you know what you're going to play, and play very slower parts. You can't play very fast using your teeth, obviously. So like if I'm in the middle of a slow solo, I can say, oh, I want to play this part with a little bit more showmanship, I don't use my teeth. So I play that part using my teeth. Another thing is you're playing behind your back. This is not actually very difficult to do if you're a good guitarist, because you already kind of know the positions of the fret without having to look at the fretboard anyway. But yeah, just find out what part of the fretboard you want to do the solo on, and just turn back around, use your head, and then yeah, you can play behind your back like this. So if you're a good guitarist, you don't really, that's not very difficult to do, because you kind of already know the positions of all the notes anyways, and you already kind of memorize the positions on the fretboard. You don't really need to see the fretboard, so if you want to do some showing off or something, you can just put it behind your head, behind your back, and play it like that. And yeah, it's not that difficult. You can even play very fast behind your back. Obviously, you can't slide or do like extreme bends or something like you can, but you can definitely do that. So yeah, that's my little lesson on playing electric guitar, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you guys have any questions to ask me, then just let me know. And yeah, I hope I helped some of you guys out when playing a blues solo or something. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time.